Okay, hi everybody. So my next segment of Nick on 90s, I'm going to talk about a film that I consider very underappreciated from 1991. Now, I'm not going to talk about it as the greatest movie of the year that's getting missed. I'm just saying that people, kind of when they do accolades for movies, it gets grossly missed.
Is it the best 1991 film starring Patrick Dempsey?
It could be it, right, yeah. It's called Run. Now, out of all the 350 million movies called Run, I'm going to talk about this one. It's Run from 1991, directed by Jeff Burrows? I think I got that right.
The man who directed The Man from Snowy River 2.
1 and 2, right, from Australia. And this is written by two guys from Minnesota, Dennis Strelak, who also did the screenplay for The Good Guys and The Bad Guys, The Car. You ever seen The Car from 1977?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's on Svengoolie.
We'll talk about that one day.
He also did the screenplay for Cadence, a film Martin Sheen directed with his son Charlie Sheen in the movie.
Oh.
He co-wrote this screenplay with Michael Blodgett. Now, together, they would write Rent-A-Cop, Hero and the Terror, and Turner Hooch. I think they got $1 million each for that movie.
Good money in that dog cop subgenre.
So if you understand from the writer's perspective what kind of flavor this movie is. Now, Run is a simple plot. It's simply a guy kind of innocently gets mixed up in some trouble, trying to escape, and then fumbly happens into one scenario after another. When you review this, if you've seen After Hours, it gets a lot of comparison to Martin Scorsese After Hours that made in 1985. Kind of the same premise. A guy just wants to go to bed, but he keeps coming into these different scenarios and different characters. All the while entanglement, eventually he realizes it's 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. It's been over 10 years since I've watched After Hours, and yet I could not stop thinking of After Hours.
Yes, and that's kind of the same premise here. Patrick Dempsey is playing a charismatic, kind of fresh-faced kid. Perfect casting, because that's him.
Oh, yeah, Mick Dreamy
Charlie,
all the way.
who nothing happens wrong to him. And they tell you in the beginning, nothing ever happens wrong with him. And then he gets mixed up. He's supposed to deliver a Porsche. The Porsche breaks down. And somebody misinterprets that this kid has a Porsche. He's a high roller. Here's his underground casino. Person running the casino's son is there causing havoc. And he dies by his own fault. But he gets blamed. So he's on the run from the mob as accountability. If you think a lot of cars got wrecked in Blues Brothers, you have not seen this movie. How much car damage
The
did
parking garage car flip was insane. I was very impressed.
I would say stunt-wise, this is fantastic. There are so many stunts in this movie. You have people even falling over the casinos and everything. And the car stunts are fantastic.
Yeah, when the film starts to lack narratively, it definitely picks up
But a car
on
chase
cars.
in it. Yeah, it really is from Blues Brothers. So yes, it stars Patrick Dempsey. You have a very fresh-faced Kelly Preston in this movie. And then a lot of others like Steve McCann. You've seen Steve McCann in other things, and I think he's like one of the side mobsters guys in this movie. But you have this very, who's the bad guy in Total Recall and RoboCop?
Right. I'll find
that
it.
guy should have been. He should have been the boss in this movie. He would have been perfect. The mob
Ronnie
boss.
Cox?
Yeah. And you have this very kind of hokey ending to it. And I think that's what the minus is of the movie. It doesn't know the right temperature that you want. You want a very serious drama of somebody trying to flee, or you want the lightness of like Turner Hooch.
Or a slow transition from one to the other.
Yeah.
I felt that would have helped, because it does bop around a lot.
I think Turner Hooch does it right. It does very dramatic where it needs to, and it's very light when it needs to. But overall, you consider it a comedy. I think they try to do this with Run, and it doesn't work, where you need a little bit less comedy and a lot more drama to this to fit well. Of course, you get Patrick Dempsey with his shirt off. You need that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Kelly Preston and him have great chemistry.
I do, yeah. She has a great car. She has a Jeep that I loved. I always wanted as a kid. But yeah, you have the right chemistry. You have the right casting. I think the fumbling is a little bit of the story. Just doesn't know the right temperature it wants to be. Do you want to be a drama with a little bit of comedy, or overall comedy with a little drama? There's a scene where the police car falls out of the parking lot. And Patrick Dempsey's like, well, it's just another day. I think if you had the right different, like something else, a little more different reaction, rather than this comic reaction, you have the right temperature of this movie, which is like, God, now I'm going to get blamed for that one, right? Kind of something like that. Very well overlooked, because simply it's a simple title, simple story, but I think you give it an opportunity to watch this movie, you'll give it appreciation. It's a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, it's a goofy time, whether or not it wants to be.
Exactly. He always says it better than I do, even when he's off camera. Yeah.
Well, Nick, my question for you about this episode specifically is, do you think that it would be a better film if it replaced its main actor, Patrick Dempsey, or if it replaced its main villain?
Main villain.
Okay, you do think it's villainous. Okay.
Yeah. You need somebody that's done villainy for, like, action movies for, like, RoboCop.
I like your Ronnie Cox. I also like Michael Ironside was the one I kept thinking of throughout the film as well, which, I mean, is great in everything.
Because if you have a silly murder at the end, a silly kill-off of the bad guy, you need somebody that's really menacing to make it work. And you have somebody that's very stereotypical, very wooden. It just comes out clumsy almost. Right.
Yeah.
Also, before I go away, cinematography by Bruce Surtees. My God, he did Beguiled, did a lot of Clint Eastwood movies.
He did the original
movie.
Beguiled.
Yeah, the original Beguiled,
Yes.
1971. He also did cinematography for Beverly Hills Cop, but also he killed it for no reason other than because he's awesome for License to Kill. That has some of the best cinematography, especially for the car at the end, the nighttime. It feels like it's a Michael Mann movie at the end. For like, you can think it's like a thief for License to Kill.
Yeah.
And they lifted a lot of stuff from To Live and Die in L.A. to put into License to Kill, but it looks like at the end of License to Kill, it looks like a William Friedkin, Michael Mann kind of an ending to it. So wonderful. I give an opportunity to check it out. It's not going to be the greatest movie in 1991, but it's not the worst thing. I just think it gets lost with the title and a little bit of what kind of plotting.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a mixed bag, but it was good for one watch. I was happy with it.
Right. Keep the conversation going. Hit a solid like and subscribe button and add a comment down below, and I'll correspond with you. What do you think about Run if you've seen it as well?